My name's Beckett.
My name's Jasper.
If you like this video, hit like, comment, subscribe. Join the Peanut Gallery.
Hey, welcome back to the Peanut Gallery. Glad everybody could join us back again. This is our second episode back. As you can see, the crowd has grown. It has gone from 2 to 3.
They actually can't see.
They
can only see 2.
They can only see 2. Wow, there's lots of peanuts in the gallery. We have somebody in the jump chair, the jump seat as well over there. So it's growing. If you're looking to get a place in the audience for the Peanut Gallery, just reach out and connect to the Peanut Gallery and send your audition tape. Maybe you can get in the gallery and you can be on here as well. But anyway, joining us today is Kendra Cornelson.
Yes.
Cornelson. Yeah. I call her Kenny. Welcome to the Peanut Gallery.
Thanks for having me.
Glad you're here. So a little bit of background. We are not distantly, second cousin, third cousin, fourth
Once
aunt,
removed.
Once removed. I'm trying. The family history is, I do believe it goes through my dad and to your mom.
Yeah.
And I think they were. I'm not sure they were cousins, but I think it was probably like second cousin.
Something like that.
But it's one of the ones where my dad is like 30 years old. Like it's the difference in the cousin line is quite extended. But maybe we should start with a little background on you and your ties here in our small little town community. Maybe talk about your family a little bit, where you're from, and yeah.
Yeah, I'm from just outside Elmer. Lived here my whole life in the same house. I played sports, went through different programs in sports in Elmer in the area. I went to school all through elementary school and high school in Elmer, and then went to university. I went to University of Guelph for agriculture, science for 4 years, and then now I'm back home still living in the same house.
Yeah, you're like a brain, right? You're like you're veterinarian, you're like crazy, like high level like doctor kind of stuff. You're like
not quite, but yeah. I'm like,
if it wasn't for the fact that you just don't want to be around people so much, you probably went into those fields. But you're like, animals.
Animals are better. So, they don't talk back.
Right. They don't. So you talk about sports programs and like all sorts of things. Like what were you involved in as a kid?
Soccer, dance, actually.
Really?
In my childhood, yeah, I did dance.
Where'd you do dance?
In Elmer.
Really? They had dance going on here?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
that's
for
cool.
a lot of years. And then it moved to St. Thomas, and then I stopped. But yeah, soccer, I did a lot of basketball. Once I got older, I did like track and field in St. Thomas. But yeah, I played only in Elmer until like grade 7, and then I started going to London. The programs didn't go that long, so...
Right.
Had to go elsewhere for that stuff. But.
So did you do like East Elgin Basketball Club, stuff like that?
Yeah. Actually, when I started, I played boys basketball for a couple of years.
I can tell. I can tell.
There was
It's
no
the first
girls.
thing I noticed when we did some pickup ball with on Saturday was your ability to throw me around on the court, which I found to be like, okay, all right. I'm not going to be able to. I'm not going to be able to play this soft at all.
No.
Matter of fact, I was more concerned about my well-being, which I think is fantastic. I just like, and I know I tease you about that, but I mean, you understand how physical the game can be.
Oh yeah, I learned young. Yeah, grade 4 or 5, played with the boys, and then 6, 7 girls, and then kind of always played a little bit of like co-ed and boys stuff at the same time because the
basketball's
programming
not for the
women's-
faint of heart.
No.
Once you start turning it on to like, we're actually being serious here, it gets really physical and aggressive.
Oh yeah, people think it's not a physical sport, but it totally is.
Yeah, we were just talking before the episode here that we started that we played our co-ed adult league, first game back. First time I think I've played in a league for about 5-6 years now, and the defense that I got to play against I'm not used to. And I definitely had to take a couple Advils afterwards because I was very sore the next day.
How did your team do?
It was a close game.
Yeah.
Let's just say the points that the other team put up were very reminiscent of the recent All-Star game in the first quarter, and we weren't playing.
Yeah, we were just practicing.
Yeah, we were just practicing.
Yeah.
They were being serious, and we were like, "Listen, we're out here having some fun." And
You guys talked about the physical part of it. It's funny. So I played pickup hockey on Friday night, and one of the guys in our dressing room also played with I think the second game that night. But somebody on the ice had gotten mad; they got slashed, and so when we got back in the dressing room, Buddy's like, he's obviously never played basketball. In the game we were playing, there were elbows flying, people were being thrown around, and it was just high fives. You all right, buddy? All right, move on.
Yeah.
He's like, what in the world? Basketball is so much more violent than hockey.
it was actually hilarious. I haven't played in that physical of a game, and it wasn't dirty basketball. It was just hard basketball, and there's a big difference. Like there's a different type of attitude and atmosphere, and there's a different type of demeanor when you're playing in a game that's like it's crossing over into the lines where it's dirty. This was just good hard basketball.
Oh yeah.
And I was just like, okay, like I'm gonna have to decide that I want to play. Like which means I know I'm going to be sore the next day.
Yeah.
So I don't know how you felt. You were describing that you the next day you were.
I had a muscle bruise, or my toe has a bruise on it. I got a little beat up, but I was sore.
Awesome. I'm so happy for you. I'm glad I'm not the only one.
Oh yeah.
I'm a little bit.
It's not an age thing. Don't worry.
Thank you. That's where I was going with this whole thing. I'm just glad you pulled that right out. And you didn't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
So that's fantastic. So you played college, or you went to college, University of Guelph?
Yeah, I went to University of Guelph. Prior to that, I played in a elite basketball league. So it was a women's league, and we it was mostly a recruiting league.
So where was that?
I played out of London.
Okay.
But there was maybe 12 or 15 teams across the province.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then, so we would have league weekends every other week. We'd play 3 games. It was a full, the schedule was always set out. But yeah, so I was being recruited by tons of schools in the States and in Canada.
So was that the team you were telling me about where the girlfriend had reached back out to you to talk to you when we were taking that trip to go look at the basketball floor?
Yes.
So that's the team that she was from?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'm understanding now.
Yeah. So I was playing in that, and I was getting recruited, and my famous line was always you don't have the program that I want to do.
You don't have the program.
You don't have the program because it's I was I wanted to go to school for school. First thing. So yeah, there was only 5 or 6 ag programs in all of Canada. So that was always my first line. And then Guelph recruited me. So that was the only ag program in Ontario, but I decided not to play. I didn't want to. Both of my siblings did, and they kind of got a different perspective of the sport after they played. And I was I don't want to get I don't want to get ruined by the sport. I don't want to lose the love for it because it's so intense. So I decided not to. And then in my first year, they wanted me to do track and field. So they wanted me to throw, shot put and stuff like that.
Really? Did you end up doing that?
No, and I also, I wanted to, and I started doing some training, but no.
That's a pretty significant flex. Kendra.
Yeah, that's what I was.
It's not that I couldn't have played D1. They all wanted me. It wasn't them. It was me. I was no.
You didn't have the program that I was looking for. So sports have been a very important part of your life, and definitely in your family.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, all of my.
Because it was your sister that came home over Christmas.
Yes.
And absolutely tuned me in.
Yes. Yeah. So my sister played at Brock University for 5 years, and my brother played for Guelph for 2 years before he went out west. And my dad actually was a runner in university, so he did track and cross country.
So involvement in sports has long run.
Oh yeah,
in your family.
Oh yes, ever since I was a kid, sports and athleticism and being active has always been a huge thing.
So one of the reasons why we have you on today is because you're a member of the board for the Malahide Athletic Center.
Yes.
And this dream that we have to be able to build a facility in our community that's accessible and is diverse enough to be able to handle the variety of different sports and that you just don't get to play year round in the temperate climate that we live in Southern Ontario, where at one moment it could be 10 degrees out, and then tonight it's going to be minus 10 degrees.
Yeah.
So sports in the winter don't work really well, and a lot of the sports that we enjoy typically are played through the winter, and access is low. So when did you first catch wind that we were up to this little project?
Well, it was actually Paul running the Saturday leagues. One of my friends from high school, I don't go on Facebook, but somebody sent it to me and was like, "Oh, look at this." So then I started going there, and then that's where I met you and Paul and the vision, and heard about it all and got on board.
So how old are you?
How old am I?
Yeah.
24.
And you don't have social media. We have to go there just for a second. Do you guys understand what Kenny's like with her phone? Like, we should talk about this.
Yeah, I have Facebook, but yeah, that's it. After university, I was like, I realized that it was consuming me and it was too much, and yeah.
Yeah, your phone barely charges up to
yes.
30%, and if it just so happens to die, oh well.
Oh no.
I don't have to be connected that way. So I mean, and that has really reinforced. I mean, you much prefer to come and play on the court and hang out and spend time together and be able to do that rather than to be locked on your phone. So when you heard about the project, what started going through your brain about having this type of facility in Malahide in the Elmer area?
Well, my first thought was that this is awesome. This has been a need. I would have loved to have this as a kid. Yeah, that was the first thing. I'm like, this is great. We need this. This is a need. Right.
I remember. Do you remember those times where you could when you were going through high school and the gym was open, and you were you're able to the access was available,
and
right?
you're like, oh,
and
I
you
can
just
play
go and grab a
whatever I
ball and
want.
you can just take shots, and
Yeah.
you could be you're the only one in the gym, and you're taking shots, and you're just and then a buddy would show up, and you're like, hey, we could play. And then all of a sudden, a game starts breaking out because other people are realizing that nothing's going on in the gym, and then all of a sudden a teacher shows up, and what's going on in here? And if it was the cool teacher, they're carry on. If it was the other cool teacher, it was
Patrick started it.
that was quick. That was really quick. No, I remember, in my day, access to schools was a little bit more simple. The teachers all had keys. I remember it was our grade 9 year, our coach endlessly had the gym open for us. So if we wanted to show up and play ball at 8 o'clock on a Saturday morning, we would be there from 8 till 12, 8 till 1, just playing basketball. All the guys would show up. It wouldn't just be the grade 9s. There would be some grade 10s, grade 11s. Some seniors would show up, and we would just play endlessly. And that was available. I mean, that was a huge highlight for us during that time. Literally, you wouldn't stay out so late on a Friday night because you wanted to make sure you could go to the gym on Saturday morning because ball was going to be breaking out.
Yeah.
And it was going to be good.
Yeah.
And it was going to be intense, and you were going to have fun, and you were going to be able to chirp your buddies, and they were going to chirp you, and it was just endless. I don't know about you, but those for me were some of the best days, and they would spill over into the playgrounds during the warmer times of the year where you could go out, you can just hang out. I know there's a park here in Elmer, Crystal Park there by with the basketball court. I don't know if you guys play ball there very often, but
Yeah.
I don't know if you've had some of those experiences growing up where just ball was life almost.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, actually, I was going to branch off to say that growing up, especially in high school, that was why I went to school, to play sports. I went to school because it's I have practice after.
It wasn't
right?
math class, eh?
Yeah, I wasn't going there
Or
for
English,
school. I
wasn't
was
it?
yeah, I got soccer after, or I have
Right.
volleyball before school or something. So that was a huge thing for me, and I didn't realize that even until I went to university, and it was
Right.
oh, there's not that motivation.
That
So that was a
drive.
huge thing for me growing up. Was
It's funny you mention that because now that I think about my calendar, it was always based around my practice schedule.
oh yeah, and it was I have to get this done before I go to basketball practice, right?
Right.
You come home and it's I have yeah, it was structure, and it was something for me to always look forward to.
It's interesting you mentioned that because now that I think about it, I did the exact same thing. Mm-hmm. Can I get this essay done? Because I know I have a tournament and I need to be at that practice. So I'm going to have to put some time in on this because I'm going to run out of time real quick.
So it was something that was a huge motivation, because then I went to university and it was I don't have that structure. I don't have that little push and little motivation. And then, yeah, my grades weren't as good.
Yeah, I could see that.
It happened.
Yeah, if there's too much time, then
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
think
you're saying there's a direct correlation between good grades and sports? Is that what we're...
I'm no
It was sort of a joke,
statistician,
but
but
you guys
yes.
are all looking serious. Okay, that's
Yeah.
good.
I guess that's where the conversation was going on that.
Yeah.
Did you end up making some decisions in university to try to find some place to get involved in sports, like in different leagues? Like, did you jump into something?
Yeah, so like, well, for a while I was like involved in kind of like clubs and executives and things like that. But then, yeah, eventually our program each year would run what is it even called? Intramurals. So each like year would have intramurals teams. So then we would play, all of us as like all the ag kids, all the little farm kids get together and go and play against these city people. And we would do pretty well sometimes. There was enough athletes in our group. But yeah, that was like I had to start doing intramurals because that was like at least something.
Yeah. So did you guys do better than what we did last week?
Depended. Really depended. Actually, I got a memory on Snapchat the other day. It was like we won our first game in the league. It was like the second last game.
I mean, based on our first week, that might be how we're going to roll this year.
But hopefully not.
But apparently, according to Paul, all teams make the playoffs.
That's
So
right.
That's good. We definitely have a shot at the playoffs. Huh?
Yes. Good.
At least the first game. So, which is great. It's
Nice.
fantastic. So speaking of sports, like moving forward, as you envision your next like number of years of your life, what kind of role do you see sports playing? Like you're kind of moving through your life of being like connected and engaged in high school, like where, you're in that bubble of that's your community. And then you have all these different sports that roll through the calendar every year. And then you've gone off to university, you've gotten your degree, you're working now, you're in that young adult phase of life where you're doing life. What kind of role do you see for sports for your age bracket? And like, obviously you're at least one generation behind me. So like for your group of your generation, how do you see sports now as a young adult, and what kind of impact will it have for you guys moving forward to be able to have like a facility, or what kind of engagement do you want to have moving forward?
Right. So I would say that for myself, I'd like to stay active, and it's kind of always been a thing for me. And sports is a good way to do that. It's an easy way to do that. And I'm noticing now that we have like the league starting, and I come home from work and I have that 2-hour time frame where I don't think about anything. I think about basketball, right?
Yeah.
And it's the best 2 hours where your brain is shut off and that's all you think about. And that's something else that I've kind of thought about too, is that's maybe why I also love sports, is because it's like you have time where it's just you don't think about anything else.
Right.
And I think people need that too. They don't have very many things where their brain shuts off, everything outside of what the task that you're doing.
So this is a random question, but do you go home after a game and like replay the game and different moments of the game and like?
Not really, no.
No?
I've never really been that kind of person. Like, I'd be done a basketball game and get in the car with my parents, and it'd just be like, so what'd you do like last week, right? Like, I don't know. I would just never.
You just skip
like,
ahead.
I just,
You're just like you have a lot of mental preparation and thinking
it's
about
like-
it going into, but like after the game's played, you're like, whoop, okay.
yeah, it's done. It happened.
I just can't do that.
No?
I go home and I'm like, for at least an hour, I'm like rolling through. I'm like, if I would have caught that on the back door, if I would have, if I would have seen that guy coming off the screen, if I
The
would
what if.
Oh man, like if I just would have hustled back on that play, I would have got that rebound because he did miss the layup that I thought he was going to miss, but I
Right.
was too tired and gassed to like want to run back. Yeah. And if I just would have ran back, I would have got an easy rebound, but instead they got it and scored the basket. And I'm like, all that kind of,
I'll replay like the funny moments or like the good ones. Like I'll like, but
the
yeah, no, it's
3-point
just-
switches. And,
right. Or like getting wrecked on a screen,
Right.
things like that. But like, yeah, for the most part, I'm like done. I'm like, okay, what's next?
So, as you see sports, and how has sports helped you? First, as like a female athlete, how do you see the impact on girls in sports and what it does for them to be able to have access to competitive house league, whatever, like to be able to engage in that team process? Like, what did it do for you as a girl, as a young woman, to be able to engage in sports?
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't even say that it's as like gender based. Like I think it kind of is for everybody. It's the same kind of end goal and same positives that come out of sport. Specifically, I guess for girls too. I guess girls are sometimes a little bit cattier in general, and you find that there's people that I wouldn't normally like be friends with, but then you can play sports with them so easily. So it's like it was mentioned before, like there's people that you wouldn't normally kind of see in a different way, and then you play with them and they're a different person, right? When they're a rival, they suck. When you're together, it's like, oh, this person's actually like good, and I have like something common with this person.
They're warring together with me. They're battling together with me. They're out there giving it everything together with me for the same goal, and all of a sudden the differences are not so different.
Exactly.
Oh,
so it's bringing connection and bringing people together.
Do you find that sports helped you as an individual, like in terms of your mental health, the formation of your character? Do you feel like it was an important aspect of your childhood?
Absolutely. I think that it teaches a lot of lessons, it teaches you how to lose. It teaches you how to fail. It teaches you.
Yes, it does. It continues to.
It humbles you.
Right.
And then just, the physical aspect, like being healthy, being physically healthy is also correlated with mental health as well, in that aspect. But growing up, like I said too, like it was motivation. It was team building. It was doing things with other people, doing things you didn't want to do sometimes, hard work, dedication. There were so many things that I learned from sports growing up.
Do you, like for your generation, like as we look at, I think the decline of engagement when it comes to important positions like coaching and referees and like the different role model aspects of where sports can really, the important translation of character and learning that happens between the older generation and younger. Do you see a lot of your generation jumping into those roles and responsibilities to like carry forward? Do you see like your former teammates now coaching teams? Do you see them in like involving themselves in areas of sport in the same way that somebody else helped involve them?
I do see like some people in my kind of demographic that are starting to give back to the sports community and volunteering and things like that. But I do think that it's probably not as much as it ever used to be. I don't think that there's as much for what we need for people to just help out and do those kinds of things in the sports
What
area.
would be the hindrances to that? What do you think are the reasons? Like, is there a certain... Is there a roadblock to them to be able to jump in? Is there something like societal that kind of keeps them from being able to step into that? Is it a generation that's always had support, so they don't understand that they are now this? Like what insights would you have on that? Like, what would your thoughts be?
I would almost say that people are starting to not maybe see the value in volunteering and like helping others and doing kind of things that add layers to your life. Right? Like they go home and they go home from work and they have just their own little bubble and that's all they worry about. And they don't see that there are like gaps and things out there that need people to do them. Like they need people to volunteer. They need people to do things like that. And I wonder if maybe there's an issue there where they don't see the value or don't realize how good it feels to help out in those kind of situations.
So I as you're talking, I'm thinking about a few of the coaches that I've had in my past, the ones that were like really impactful. A lot of them obviously are teachers because that's a lot of like, for me, not having competitive sports is like part of my the opportunities that existed. Like I remember I was telling somebody about when OBA first, came out. Yeah. It's a few years ago now. There was tryouts for London's OBA basketball team. Mm-hmm. And like we went over there and like we're like, well, we're going to go try out. We're going to show these guys that we can play basketball, right? And all we were playground ballers, right? And no real basketball coaching, that kind of like translation of ability and knowledge about how to play the game really didn't get to us until like high school. So we were like, I think we went to try out for like the grade 8 team or something like that. Like I walked it, there must have been like 100 kids trying out for this team. And I was like 5'0" and like, I barely had like half of a right hand, and like it was terrible. Like I was just like, not making the team. Like I think I did like we had like 3 layups, and I'm like I made 2, and I'm like, there's some kids in there that were like practically dunking, and I'm like, this ain't happening. I need to go back to my town, right? So I remember one coach specifically though, like and it's high school sports, and his name was Paul McBain. He was our grade 9 basketball coach, and he was just like. He was the guy that would just demand so much from you, like literally, like not like, man, I'm trying to remember, coach from Indiana, Bob Knight. I remember. I don't know if you know Bob Knight. Bob Knight was a chair throwing, cursing. You know, he was just like all out on the court. Like it was like all or nothing. It was like almost to the Bob Knight. You would argue like old school, almost abusive kind of like towards his player, like and how much he demanded from them. But like Mr. McBain was never like it wouldn't cross those lines. But like his level of demand was like high. Like if you weren't paying attention and performing, like you ran, you were doing push-ups, you were doing like you were doing wind sprints like crazy. Like I remember doing wind sprints and guys being in the showers afterwards, just like not being able to keep their stomachs where they're supposed to be. Like and we would run and we would run and but some of our best times in high school were the times that we had with him and his assistant coaches. Like one was Dave Franks and another one was Paul's wife. But they were like awesome. Like they gave so much time for us to be able to just go and play and have conversations and talk and be able to engage. Do you have anybody from your sporting background, like a coach or somebody that you connected to over the years that had an impact on your life and was just like, man, that person really made, things available to me. They really opened up doors. Do you have anybody like that?
Yeah, I would say this guy named Nate Wilcox, and he saw me at a tryout for this kind of summer league team, and he came up to me and was like, I coach a grade 9 basketball team in London, and we already made the team, but will you play? Like, you can be our 13th player. And that was the reason that I played in London for so many years, and he was a great coach. He was just the best. And he wasn't like anything that was like over the top with like really anything. He was just a solid coach and he believed in me.
So it made a difference that someone saw you. I could tell. You're like, don't keep going. No, I'm good. Someone noticed me.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's all we need is to be seen. And someone, hey, I see you. I'm going to give you a shot. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. No, it was good. That kind of like paved my confidence, I would say, in the sport.
I can definitely tell.
Yeah.
Because you have a lot of it now.
Yeah.
I feel it every time we play.
You need it.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially against boys.
So moving forward, as we're trying to like see this project happen, maybe we'll finish up with this. What are you hoping that comes from building like the Malahide Athletic Center? What is like, what do you see?
I want it to be packed.
Yeah.
I want everybody to use it. I want everybody to feel like they can use it and play whatever they want, do whatever they want, anything. Go out there, be active, do things. I want it to be like a Field of Dreams moment. Like you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I bet there's a few people out there that are needing to be seen.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's pretty cool. Well, I just want to say I appreciate you coming in and sharing some of your story. Yeah. I get the feeling that there's a lot more there.
Absolutely.
We're going to have to do a part 2.
Okay.
Have you come back. But thank you so much for coming.
Yeah,
and,
thanks for
being
having
part
me.
of the Peanut Gallery.
Yes.
Is this your first podcast?
Yes. I think this is like one of my first times talking into a mic ever.
Well, we're the biggest thing south of the 45, at least from what we think.
Right. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Good.
Anyway, thanks so much for joining us, and look forward to seeing you or look forward to you tuning in to the next time. Thanks so much.